Actually, I will not check anything else. Video is on?
Yes.
Okay, pretend you're doing something. This is going to end up in your...
Now I'm guessing this one.
Okay, so you're figuring out if it's starting.
Yeah, because these both power on, which is good. That's a good start. They
Good.
work.
Look out for indicator lights. That helps too, okay? Okay guys, so you guys are troubleshooting right now. I think you're having a major snag. Major snag, right?
Yeah.
Eddie, what's the snag?
We don't know why it's giving us a black screen, why it's not working.
Okay.
I found a website. On the Cisco website, I just Googled it. Well, I can't show you because I don't have my phone, but the person's having the same issue. So I don't know if you can find that, but I was just saying, like, why is it giving me a black screen? And then it was, like, the help section.
Great,
on the
great.
Cisco website.
How about you, CIO? You're really into it.
Yeah.
You're like swimming in this.
We tried connecting through the web-based interface initially, but we found out that wasn't the way. So we're going through the serial cable now.
Awesome.
And
that was something you started 15 minutes ago, right?
Yes.
It takes time.
Yep.
Okay, so what's your interpretation?
We found the right port, which is COM3, so that's good. We have the speed we need, which is also good. The only thing that's left is actually getting into the console from the terminal.
Good. You see how different it is when you are now no longer working on packet tracer.
Very
So,
different.
what's your observation here? You are like the actual observer. Oh, nothing. My God, he clue. Houston, best for last.
Well, we can't access the interface and we can't type into it. So,
He's gonna make a good actor.
I'm just I'm thinking of a plan. I'm troubleshooting. I'm thinking in my head, but I'm thinking maybe go back over our notes or documentation. Maybe we missed something.
If Tom Cruise was to, watch this, he'd be jealous of you. How about you? What's your progress?
We just
Not
really-
progress.
yeah.
What's your interpretation of what's happening here?
We're still like searching for the reason why we had like the Putin was giving us black face and not like showing anything.
Okay. So the progress is you figured out which is the COM port, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you realize there was no reason to add any IP address at this point, but you can only go through PuTTY. And I see your PuTTY is on already.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Great.
on.
So where exactly is the snag?
So when we try to run PuTTY, it doesn't give us an error right away,
Excellent.
but it sits at this blank screen for a long
Because
period
we
of
are
time.
dealing with an environment that's similar to Linux. Right?
Yeah.
There you go. So now it's not Windows, it's not going to tell you. See? So I'm glad. So now what you do is you go along with what I always forget his name.
Dairy as well.
Huh?
Dairy.
Dairy? Yeah, Dairy. Dairy? I'm sorry if I'm massacring your name. Please forgive me. I learned it. I promise you I'll learn it. Go by his vision, okay? He's the CIO. And Eddie, I liked how you used ChatGPT. Use it. Figure it out, okay?
I have a 15.
There's
No, I have a
user error.
15.
There's no way these switches.
You know what? Mine, they won't even trade in. Guys, I can see your stresses are
It's
going up
cold.
a little bit. It's cold?
That's
Oh,
why.
good. See, that's why the lab is cold. To keep you stressed down. So I see like one
time we used the XO and /.
one switch did not even work. Am I right,
The
guys?
default is that excellent, but then the thing says turn it off. And I think later in the dock, like pull up the dock.
Our stop bytes. We use one our stop bytes.
Yes.
Yeah, we use one stop bit and then we use 8 data bits. The speed was set to 1152 OL. We turned off parity and flow control.
Yeah, if you go to step
After
14,
when we are done, did we go to section and the console?
So where is the snag, guys?
The snag is still the same thing.
this is Buddy.
It's like one did not work.
One didn't work.
Okay.
We tried a different one, and it's given us a similar result.
Yeah, it's very stressful. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. So we're having this video.
Yeah, you will.
So how much progress you made?
So we made some pretty decent progress, I feel. We've been kind of messing with the pinging of the switch. We can get it to ping my computer because we set the IP to 253.
Awesome.
And the default's a 254, but we're still having trouble pinging the switch.
Awesome. And you already put the IP address I see over there?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it. That's good enough. Yeah. Awesome. So this is documented. So these are the guys on. These are the guys in the second day of troubleshooting.
Because I'll send all documentation with it.
And I'm going to try to kind of look up some stuff this weekend when I have some spare time working on some stuff just to see if maybe I can find something to help.
What did you guys learn? So close, yes, so far. So what did you guys learn, Mr. D? Mr. D doesn't like to be asked any questions. I'm just not gonna. Next thing you know, he'll have a fight with me in the gym. Yeah. What about you, sir? I forgot your name, Mr. M.
I learned IP addressing is really important. If you don't get the numbers right,
Do some search to figure out what is the zoning and what's the linkage between IP addresses and subnet masks. What does it mean when you say 255.0.0.0 versus 255.255.255.0? And also figure out what is Class A network, Class B, and Class C. Practically. Mr. Houston?
Pretty much the same thing as these guys. We figured out we have to be on the same subnet as the switch, so we changed the IP address of Tyler's computer to
192.168.1.253.
And we have somebody in our group today who actually knows about this but is super quiet. Yes. Actually, she knows. She's just pretending she doesn't know. She's like Karate Kid. Yeah, you guys don't know anything about Karate Kid. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Christ.
You saw a sensei, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would know, and next thing you know, he just cracks all those bottles, beer bottles on the truck.
Yeah.
He just freaks out those people.
goes fresh.
So this is it. This is the sensei. Guys, she has worked on Cisco switches, apparently. Okay.
Blast over here. Holy moly.
So there you go. You have an asset. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. I guess you're helping Tyler doing something here. Yeah. So Eddie, so now you can tell me what are you up to, because you are about to give me some great news.
So good news is that we finally got our little switch up and running and functional, so we can access the Cisco website to configure.
Excellent.
One of the first things I knocked out was I changed the default IP address of that to a custom one of 192.0.2.18.
And is this one the one that the guys were nice enough to share with us?
This was from the Cisco handout after we got the after we were stuck on trying to get to the website. I used the example IP address for this, but I used their steps to actually configure it. So I used a little bit of both.
Excellent.
So I set the IP of this to 0.2.18 with the IP address we went.
And the below one is not connected, right?
No, the below one's off. So we're just
Okay.
using this top one right now.
Yeah. Didn't see any light on, so I presumed that.
And you can tell it's kind of hard to see on this one. The light is a constant solid green, which means that we're not using the default IP address, because if we were, this would be blinking.
Okay, so all the ports, all of these ports, what I'm trying to see is, all of these ports are now configured, or not yet?
I think at least this one should be configured. I can double check.
But that's not important.
Yeah. 168.1.252. I want to see it for one quick second.
Record.
So the step-by-step configuration, one thing we did was connect the console and also
So we have the switch right here, the SG300, and well, we had two. We went with one just to kind of simplify our troubleshooting because we have the 5, and we were able later on to subdivide it into like different like VLANs and different groups with the one switch. And so for each of the computers, and for mine, for an example, they all have to be within the IP address of 192.168.1.254.
Okay. You want to say something about the IP addressing?
I believe we chose 192.168.1 as the network component because Tyler's laptop was 252 as the host. So it's a bit of a weird decision, but we started at the highest number and went down and assigned each device their own host component.
Anybody wants to tell me how the journey started? Like first you guys had the laptop and then later you guys shifted
We
to the
expanded it
computers,
out.
and how did the computers come into the play?
one thing we did was adjusting the IP address for a successful communication.
Yeah.
Mr. D?
Yeah.
Mr. D?
Um,
Like how do you guys shift from the laptops to the computers? Michael came in the picture?
Yeah, we had to ping every computer to make sure we could talk with each other, right?
Excellent, yeah. You tell.
Yeah, so the first problem we had was we were using Tyler's laptop, which means that there are some issues with the firewalls,
Okay.
which we had to solve. And once we did that, we connected all the PCs, one for each person.
Good job.
And then we had to make sure we could ping each other because we could ping the switch, but we couldn't ping each other at first until we got that done.
Good, good. Mr. D, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to add in about the troubleshooting. So like when we first started, we had trouble resetting the switch. We weren't holding it for the right amount of time. We tried 30 seconds. We figured out that wasn't right to factory reset. So what did we end up doing? I think it was a minute 30 seconds to fully reset it.
Wow, that's good. I like the way you visualized it. Good. Anybody wants to tell me about subnet masking?
I wasn't gonna do that, but I was gonna talk about the firewall. I was supposed to do it in the beginning, but basically, like
It's okay. It's never too late. I like the fact that you brought in the firewall thing. Yeah.
basically in the beginning we had trouble pinging each other, as said before, with like IPv4 connections, and we couldn't ping each other because of the Windows Defender firewall, and so and Tyler, we couldn't ping Tyler's computer because his was private, so we had to enable file sharing, right?
File and printer sharing.
And what happened with the VLAN then? How did the VLAN come in the picture?
So to make the VLANs work, obviously chapter 3, we had to look at each command and each mode. So we had to go into global config mode to see every interface and how it was connected. So once we did that, we had the assignment was to split it into 3 VLANs, one for Java, one for SOC, and one for HR. I think. Yeah. So we decided to make it 2 PCs for VLAN 1, 2 PCs for VLAN 2, and I think Tyler's PC for the last one.
So what is VLAN? I have no clue. What's a VLAN?
A VLAN is a way to separate like different departments in a network or in a switch. So
Sure. Good job. Good job. I'm proud of you.
yeah, that's what we did.
My teachings are finally showing up. Good, good.
Yeah, so we just did a do show running config.
I'm
see
just waiting for Houston to
every
talk about the subnet. But I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's getting hungry, so I don't know if I want to. Subnetting, nobody said anything about subnetting. Tyler, you want to say? Because
I just was going to add on to the point where we're talking about the VLANs, is that the reason we went with using the VLANs is because since we only have the one switch for simplicity, it makes it so we can actually kind of pretend that we have multiple switches to divide the different departments with the different ports. So like 2 of our computers could be set up for like the HR. Instead of having to get like 3 different switches, we have the one switch, but it's divided.
So what are you most proud about, and I don't know whether this question pertains to journey, whether this question pertains to the practical part, the fact that you have a switch in front of you and it's a Cisco one. So anybody wants to talk about the journey part? How did you feel? Was it a love-hate relationship with the switch? How much, if I were to say out of 100, you did the troubleshooting, how much of it did you enjoy? How much you hated?
Me? How much I hated it? Well, I think that it was a learning experience, so I'm glad. And we had a lot of problems because obviously it was our first time doing something very hands-on, but it's a very valuable experience.
So what did you guys observe? How the troubleshooting happened? How the troubleshooting actually happened? Sorry, I until today I don't know how to pronounce your name. Arduino. Sorry about that. And obviously it's not Arduino. What's your name?
Darren.
I know. I looked that. I know. Yeah. Darren.
Yeah.
So easy, and I've been calling you Arduino the whole semester. I'm so sorry. So my question for you is, you guys troubleshooted. So what did you end up learning from that troubleshooting? What makes you believe you qualify to work as network engineers, network analysts, administrators?
Well, just kind of throw my opinion in. One of the basics kind of things we learned about from this assignment is just the basics of like actually doing research about a problem and making sure we're asking the right questions to actually find the information. And along with that, one of the things I personally learned was during the firewall, I had to actually research the actual like rules to change and why.
Excellent. Grace, you wanted to add something? You raised your hand.
During the configuration process, one thing we did was check configure the ports and keep checking to see if we had like the right configuration, and also we verified the VLAN configuration. Then also we were validating the inter-VLAN routing. Another thing we did was the testing connectivity.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Good job. Okay, I got the point. Good, you did a great job. So who was really up here figuring out the command line interface? And what was the role of the SSH here?
SSH is necessary because initially Telnet was used, but Telnet is not secure. So SSH is what we use to encrypt our communication between the switch to make sure, no one is snooping on whatever we're doing.
Good job. I
Yeah.
like your question. Anybody wants to add anything before because you guys did an awesome job. I'm very, very proud of each and every one of you. So guys, very, very good job. All right, so I think you should use this. Okay, this is a great experience you have. Anything you want to add? Because I love the report that you guys have made, and I think the detail, you really prove what's the meaning of genius in detail. Yeah.
Well, I mean, overall with this whole project, it took a lot of collaboration and communication. I mean, if it was the smaller groups, I think it definitely would have taken more time. But communicating definitely got us to where we are right now. It took a lot of work, but like Tyler mentioned, some things we got stuck on, like the initial configuration of the switch. Even just setting it up and connecting to it was a pain in the butt. So we did research, and we had to look at documentation, and then we moved on to troubleshooting, trying different ideas.
So you liked the fact that it was practical?
Yeah.
Good. Guys, again, great job.
And if I just want to add one quick little thing, I just wanted to point out one of the things I also learned was actually making good quality reports for future students. Because for the firewall, kind of bouncing back to that, one of the things I worked on was making a simple little documentation showing the steps of why I did what I did. And I showed screenshots to show where they actually have to go and look for the steps to actually configure the problem that we had with the inbound and outbound rules with the firewall. And that was one of the things I also took away from that, is actually like being able to actually not only troubleshoot and ask the right questions, but also follow through and actually explain to someone else what we did.
Good job, guys. As a matter of fact, I really enjoyed observing you guys work on the project to a point where I feel spoiled thanks to you, all of you. Thank you, guys.